All right, how is everybody doing? Hope you guys are all doing well. I'm gonna jump over here. Mm. Welcome everybody. We are going to talk about one of my favorite movies of all time. Definitely top 5, maybe even top 3. I'm not sure, but it's up there. It's one of my favorites. I watched it a million times as a kid. I had the VHS, the little paperback covered one, and it got all broken and all kinds of stuff, and I wore out that tape. But joining me today in my discussion is Tom from Midnight's Eds. What's up, Tom? I'm doing great. How are you? So, I mean, I learned that you were a big fan from watching probably a lot of the streams that you were on, seeing that you also have the the big NECA Ninja Turtle statue. You have all four of them? Oh, you have man, dude. I only have the four turtles. I wanted to get a foot soldier, but I couldn't I couldn't get one. I lost out on that one. I need to find one on the secondary market. Okay. For some reason, it looks like I they can't hear you. Let me put. Maybe me. Give me 1 second, guys. I want to make sure that I'm transmitting the right line. Create output. Bear with us, guys. This is like only the second time I've ever done one of these, and it's a little bit of a weird setup. I want to make sure my output is going out there right. Let's see. Let's test. Go ahead and say something, Tom. Oh man, what's going on? Yeah, for some reason I can't hear you. Let me see. I know I've had this issue. This is a constant on my channel so far. Technical difficulties. So just hold on. Hey, Yellow Flash 2 is just here to just see how shitty my stream is. Hey, what's up? What did I do last time to fix this? God, I'm gonna cut all this out. I'm gonna restart. Don't worry about it. Hold on. I think I can add an audio source. Hold. I did this last time. Audio source. Here we go. Audio input. Let's add it. A new one. Don't worry. Now say something. Oh, I think it's just sending. It's from me. Oh my God. What is going on? Yeah. OBS. That's what I have set, but for some reason it's not working. It should just be pulling it, but it's not. Hold on. I think now it might be working.
Hello?
I think it just worked. I need confirmation in the chat, guys. Give me confirmation that you can hear Tom.
Can you hear the soft sounds of my voice?
I think it's working.
I'm like,
yes,
there's like
yes.
a 30. Okay. There's like a 30-second delay on the stream. So
it looks like we fixed it.
Sweet.
So let me start over. I want to introduce you one more time, and then I'm just gonna chop all this off, and nobody will ever know. Welcome.
Well, hello.
Welcome to the stream. Thank you for joining me on this glorious night. We're gonna be talking about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1990, the original independent film, the best, one of the best comic book adaptations of all time. And joining me tonight is Tom from Midnight's Edge. What's up, Tom?
Finally, I can say hello and people can hear me. Hello. And yes, I agree with you. In fact, this may be my favorite movie of all time.
Oh,
Now that Empire Strikes Back is kind of
oh yeah, that's a hard one.
wore off a little bit on me. So yeah.
Like
So
I
this
said,
is
like I said
quickly
earlier,
creeping up there.
it is definitely one of my top 3 favorite movies of all time.
The
It's
only
one of
one that might
those.
beat it is Jaws.
Oh man, that is such a classic. I almost don't even put that in my top 3. It's like on a different level of just best films. I don't know. It's like it's different for me because it's like that's a movie that my dad would just at any time of any day would just have on. So it would just you just walk in the room and he's in watching the movie. It's just like it would come on, you'd watch it. You know, you didn't
Yeah,
have to put
same
it
with
on.
me.
Like somehow
Yeah.
it's on at all times.
Well, I think TNT had it for a while there where like all you had to do was turn
Yes,
on TNT and it was on like all the time. Like every other
all the
day it
time.
was on.
It's
But
glorious.
yeah,
That's almost
no,
on a
it
whole nother echelon.
and yeah, that's one of my movies too where it's just I see it, I gotta finish it. Goodfellas,
Yep. Yep.
Jaws, Ninja Turtles. They're all in that level. Back to the Future, Beverly Hills Cop,
Mm-hmm.
just
We gotta do a
yeah.
discussion about Beverly Hills Cop because that's another one of my favorite movies. I love that
Yeah,
movie.
Jeff and I love it, talk about it all the time.
Oh,
I'm surprised we should have asked him if
we
he
should
wanted
get
to hop in
Jeff.
on this one. I'll see if
God.
he's busy. Yeah.
Oh
But
man. So let me ask you a question. So what got you into Ninja Turtles? Now I wasn't around whenever Ninja Turtles first like got big. I didn't come around until '92. You know, so all that stuff like blew up before I was born. But you were around. So what was that like? Like seeing all that stuff
right.
kind of blow up at the same time.
Well, like, okay, so first, my first recollection of that period was, see, I didn't get to see the cartoon right away because where I happen to live, they didn't carry it.
Yeah.
It just didn't happen to show up in syndication, and so I was well aware of the toys. The toys were like everywhere. Everybody had the toys. So my brother and I each got one. I think I got Raphael and he got Donatello. I mean, everybody knew who they were, what they were all about. I mean, even though we hadn't seen the cartoon yet, and then I finally got to see the cartoons, which would have been that first 5 set miniseries
Right. Yeah.
that come out. And then so that was like the first thing out there. So that we had that, and then there was another season that finally hit, and that's where you got a bunch more episodes. And somewhere between that season, they announced the movie. And I first remember hearing about it. I was looking through a comic book at the grocery store, and on the back, I flipped to the back, and here's this thing with the Ninja Turtles, the picture you have
That
behind us right
classic like
now.
popping out of the
Yeah, and I'm like,
manhole
whoa,
cover.
what the hell is this? And
Yeah.
it says, this is no cartoon, Teenage Mutant. What? No, where? When?
Yeah.
I'm like freaking the fuck out. So this is probably like maybe December, January, I first heard about it. And then they had just started talking about the movie coming. And my first images I actually saw of the film were on the cereal box for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cereal. And I actually didn't, because the original trailers, they didn't really come out till like way late.
Yeah.
And so I thought Tatsu was Shredder. Actually, I didn't know that was. I didn't know there was a totally different character because it was like a
Yeah, I
picture of
see.
Tatsu. It was a
Yeah.
picture of Tatsu with the foot around him. Then they had Donatello coming out of the sewer, and then like the one picture where all 4 of them are
Yeah.
like just about to go after Danny. And those were the first 3 images I ever saw, and I just saw them and I'm like, oh my god, they managed to actually make them look like they do on. I mean, it was unreal because I'm used to stuff like at that point. We had He-Man and the Masters of the Universe cartoon,
Right.
nothing or movie, nothing like the cartoon.
Nothing
Nothing
at
like the
all.
cartoon.
They're like they
Yeah.
come through a portal and end up on Earth, and it's like, why? Why
Yeah.
would you do that?
So like we really had very little to like kind of be like, like nobody had imagined that this movie would be as good as it was.
Right.
And then I got to see it opening night, and it just blew me away. I mean, I saw it probably 5-6 times in the theater altogether in that period, but it was just like I don't remember any movie being that big in my childhood since stuff like Star Wars. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like maybe Roger Rabbit would be the closest. And that was like maybe 2 years before that. But like it just sucked the air out of that summer, and everybody was talking Ninja Turtles. It was everywhere. I mean, I had the posters, the shirts, everything. You had trading cards, stickers,
It's like a
it's just a
phenomenon.
resurgence. Yeah, it was a resurgence of all the Ninja Turtles. And I mean, Ninja Turtles were everywhere at that point. You
Right.
couldn't, you could walk into a store and get Ninja Turtle cookies and candy bars and
Ninja
everything,
Turtle, everything.
gummy bears and whatnot. Yeah, they had everything. And then of course the second movie came a year later. But yeah, like it just when that first movie hit, it was just there was nothing like it. I mean, we couldn't
Yeah.
really compare it to anything. And like you said in the opening, I agree. It's got to be one of the best comic book adaptations out there,
It's
aside from maybe the
perfect.
original Superman film. Yeah.
Dude, it's perfect. I have a funny connection with it. So, like I said, I wasn't there whenever it first came out, but I had for some reason, I don't know how we got it, but it was just one of those VHSs that was just a part of my family's collection. Like, I don't
Right.
remember going out and getting it. It was just one of those things that's like my dad had gotten it at some point in his life, and it was just now mine. So it was one of those that was on the shelf that I would just always go to and watch. And again, it's got that poster, that like provocative poster of them popping out of the manhole cover, and you just like want to watch it all the time. That cover alone of the VHS was so well made, and it has like such a contrast. It brings you in, and you want to watch it. So I watched it all the time, like on repeat. And I don't know if you remember, but they had I think this was a Pizza Hut tie-in or something like that. But they had the like a couple of the episodes on VHS.
Yes. Those
So like if you,
actually,
yeah, what was it?
like I say, those actually came out the week of the movie. I got those the day the movie came
Okay,
out. Yeah. It was
yeah.
really cool
So
because,
yeah.
yeah, those were the first TMNT VHSs I ever had. And those were like episodes, I believe, from the third season, like the before it
Mm-hmm.
even had aired. So they were
Yeah.
brand new episodes when they came out on VHS. It was awesome.
Yeah, so there was like a collection of like four of them, and each VHS had two episodes or something like that. And I had a couple of them because my grandpa got them for me. He thought, oh, I bet he'll like these. And he got them. And there's another thing that I just watched like all the time, wore out. And I watched the first movie, and I loved it so much. And I never knew that there was a second movie until I was like 17. Like it went through my whole life going,
Oh, wow.
man, because I guess I just never looked into it. And whenever I was 17, it was still like the internet was kind of, it wasn't huge. I mean, it was huge, but it wasn't,
Well,
as
for perspective
ubiquitous
about
now.
how you were born when?
92.
Oh, okay. So yeah, this is, yeah. See, the second
So it's
film was
like,
just about as big as the first film, but yeah,
yeah.
by the time you'd have been born, the third film had come out, and yeah, it
I mean,
kind
yeah,
of
all of them are out.
done its thing.
But I never looked into it. I just thought, okay, this is this great movie. And I never looked into it. And I was always thought as a kid, like, man, I wish they'd make another one of those. That was so good. And then I did see that there was multiples. Oh my God, there's more. Um, not as good as the first one, but the second one was still fun, and the third one was still kind of fun. I don't like the third one that much. The second was still pretty solid. I mean,
Yeah.
it's got Vanilla Ice. That's pretty classic. You can't go wrong with that. That's pretty
Well,
great.
the second one, actually, to get us back into the first movie, suffers from a lot of the complaints from parents from the first film.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Batman and
Yes,
the Batman Returns, or
very
the
much
Batman
so.
Returns and Batman Forever issue, is
Yeah,
where
very
it
much so.
got too dark and people were really scared. Like, oh, this is not going to be good for my kids.
Kids didn't care, but parents were
Yeah,
pissed.
dude.
Like,
Being a
they're
kid
like, this
watching
is
Ninja Turtles, there's not even anything really bad, I guess, except for at the very end. Spoiler alert: whenever Shredder goes into the trash compactor and he gets trash compacted, but you don't really see
right.
anything. It's kind of like implied, and you're like, "Oh, damn, that's rad!" Like, "Oh
Well,
man,
at that
Casey
time,
Jones is a badass. He just doesn't care."
you got to remember at that time for a PG film, it didn't even get a PG-13 rating, which I can't believe, but it did
Yeah.
manage to squeak away with a
Wow.
PG. And yeah, the parents were saying it not only was it dark in tone, but just not just the visuals, but dark in tone,
Yeah.
but also yeah, the violence was a big thing with especially with the weapons. So if you notice in the second film, they don't use their weapons.
Yeah.
They
Just
always
limb.
use stuff around them instead of actually using weapons, because that was one of the complaints. And then of
Yeah,
course
like
then they
sausage
brightened.
links and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And they brightened it up quite a bit in the second film, made it a bit more like the cartoons. But yeah, that first film though, when it came out, because the guys that made it, they weren't really inspired by the cartoon. In fact, it was a completely separate deal that was
This is more of the
made.
comics, right?
Yeah, what it was like the cartoon and the movie were almost happening simultaneously. Because like originally the show was only going to be those 5 episodes, and Playmates is like, "No, we're good. We don't need any more."
Yeah.
And Fred Wolf's
That's
like,
enough
"No,
to sell our toys.
they're like, we want more. They want a whole season of this stuff." And they're like, "Well, go for it, like whatever." So the show, it was one of those weird instances where the show wasn't as attached to the toys as like Transformers and GI Joe was back in the day,
Yeah.
because yeah, after that they could use stuff from the toys, but they weren't obligated to. and there's a lot of times there was stuff that came from the series into the toys, which is an opposite of what we had at the time. Because usually it was like the toy company would be like, "This is our new figure this week. Put it in the show." You know what I mean? Or this is
Right. Yeah.
our new whatever. Put it in the show. And that wasn't the way Turtles ran. And that show managed to run for way past the movie's lifetime. I believe the
Oh
show
yeah.
didn't end until like 96 or 7. So like it was
And
one of the
then not too long
longest.
after that, they started the next Ninja Turtle
Yep.
cartoon.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
it
it
was
was one of
like
the longest
a couple
running
years.
animated, yeah, one of the longest running animated shows of all time, actually, especially considering it was on network television on CBS on Saturday mornings. So I believe outside of Bugs Bunny, it might have the longest run ever on Saturday morning cartoons.
Wow.
I'd have to
It
check that.
deserved it. That was a great cartoon.
But I mean, outside of Bugs Bunny, I can't think of maybe Super Friends had more seasons. That might be the only other thing I can think of.
I mean, and now cartoons like SpongeBob is blowing like all those cartoons away. It's just like running for
Right.
it's going to be running for 30 years straight and never
Yeah.
end.
Yeah, and
Anyways,
that's not even really that was, that's a network
that's a
show,
network show too. Yeah, it's
not
not
the
Saturday
Saturday
morning.
morning cartoon that I'm talking about. But yeah, absolutely. But no, like Ninja Turtles was something that, even the creators were told this isn't going to last more than 3 years.
Right.
So get your money now. So they went into this thinking, yeah, we're going to do whatever we can in this 3 years because that's usually the life cycle on this thing. They never expected it to be going
Just
30 years later.
explode and keep going, and
Yeah.
they keep making movies.
But yeah, so
Uh,
that deal was separate. So they had this Hong Kong company that made all the Bruce Lee films. And they're like, Golden Harvest are like, yeah, we'll make
yeah,
this. We just throw a couple of our guys in costumes, no big deal.
perfect
So they were going to make
combination.
it for like, yeah, they were going to make it for like $2 million or some shit like that. Well, then Jim Henson got involved. And
Oh,
then
it's
that
just like
rolled.
the best combination of things to happen. Like independent Ninja Turtles, Jim Henson, like like
Right.
independent Chinese company, like with kung fu. Just like, oh, let's throw some stunt actors in there. It's like, yes, every single one of those elements works for a Ninja Turtle movie. It's
Well,
just
then it went even
perfect.
further because they needed more money. Because, of course, the costumes were going to cost a lot more than
Right.
they anticipated. So the New Line came in and saved the day and threw in an extra like $6 or $7 million, I think it was. So in the end, the movie was made for like $10 million. And Jim Henson Company actually didn't make crap off the movie. But what they did get out of that was um, a lot of research and development as far as like doing animatronics. So then
Oh
that
yeah.
graduated into like look at dinosaurs and stuff beyond that. That all built towards that. So like yeah, Brian Henson was very, very like key to making the TMNT movie happen. Because Jim Henson wasn't really keen on it. He's like, I don't like the violence
Yeah.
and I'm not so sure about this. But Brian was like, no, you got to trust me on this, Dad. This is a big deal. And because of what they were able to do with that, like I said, that ushered in the next, 10 years of special effects for films, all leading up to like Jurassic Park and all those kind of
Yeah, right.
things. So,
I mean, just the aesthetics of the movie is just it hits every one of my sensibilities, like the dark kind of more gritty, but not too crazy blood. I mean, there was not really any blood. There was a few like bruises and stuff like that, but it wasn't gory. It had kung fu